following up on what was a great technical piece, and we got Andy Rottler back with us. Andy, welcome back. Randy Neal from CWT, and of course Dave Monahan from Goodson. Guys, a lot of information right there. Let's unpack a little bit, and then we'll ask our fans to submit any questions. So if you've got a question, get ready to fire it off in the chat section. Now is the time. Look at this panel. But guys, a lot going on in that last video. Randy?
Well, listen, let's talk about this a minute. The information that we just saw is one of the areas in our evolution of machining that's a little bit foreign to our end users. This is new stuff to them. It's really pretty old, though. It's all documented. It's out there to be easily resourced through the manufacturer. Here's the guy, and we want to simply understand that, look, this is not your father's Oldsmobile. You've heard me say that before. What we used to do in the old surfacing with a 570 broach or something along that line, listen, that's over, done, finished. The new technology and with the reinforcement of the hardware that's out there, man, this has turned these things into profit centers. And that's, by the way, I believe that's why we're doing this.
Dave?
Yeah, I'll jump right in there on that. The machine tool manufacturers have a lot of responsibility in here to set the speeds and feeds of their machines to give you the maximum ability to control that finish that you need for whether a gasket or a piston ring, whatever it might be. But the responsibility lays on them. Where we come in to play on it is to make sure that we can offer a universal tool that may fit, as Randy was just saying, some of the older machines, we wish we could all stand up and of course, get the new Rottler top of the line surfacing and boring equipment. But there's a lot of conversions that have been going on out there for many years. They'll take an old hydraulic surface grinder and put a cast iron plate underneath it with a single or a double CBN or PCD bit tip 3/8 half-inch diameter, whatever that might be. And then you're relying on that older technology of machine tool design to then run a new technology of machine tool cutting tip, which is the CBN and PCD. Wouldn't you agree,
right.
Andy?
Absolutely. Well, and the other thing that's made it a challenge, we've created new machine tools to make the process faster and hopefully easier, but the product that the customer, the machine user is putting out has gotten more complicated. It's not just straight gray cast iron anymore or straight aluminum. You have high nickel content cylinder heads and blocks. You've got bimetal blocks where you've got a steel sleeve and aluminum, and you can't cut those with the old systems. And even if you have a new machine, they can be very difficult. We're actually right in the middle of a lot of R&D work that we're doing to improve the process of cutting bimetal aluminum blocks with steel sleeves. It's a difficult thing to do. So it's a never-ending process to not only be able to cut the material and produce a decent finish, but do it as fast and low cost as possible.
Let's be fair on this for a second. Rottler has taken a push over the last couple of decades to introduce advanced technology. And I got to tell you, the nice thing about this is that they're the beta side initially. These guys aren't things just put the iron out there and say, go for it. They say, look, we have a baseline. Now, what they've also done is they recognize that there's multiple suppliers. These suppliers have some great technology, but all you have to do, and this is the hard part, pick up the phone, call them up, talk to them, and let them know what these examples are. And by the way, some of this stuff is foreign to them. But the deal is you've got support from the OEM, you've got the tool supplier has the technology, and by the way, you're going to find out he wants to learn also. His mission is to sell that tool. All right, well, let's take it to the next level. All of these tools, everything that we're doing here is for profit, for money. So efficiency is a dynamic this is where the tool, speed, feed, all these characteristics we're talking about, man, if you're not diving in this learning, you're leaving money on the table. You've got to understand, this is your profit center. And if you're intimidated, that would be number one. But number two, if you're just nervous, you'd be surprised how open these guys are with this information. I know Rottler's very much open with it. Dave, I know you do a lot of stuff, and you talk to guys about applications of inserts that are available in the aftermarket. Go ahead.
In fact, we do. We've all grown up with surface grinders in the past, and with abrasive material, we can grind through just about any kind of material. Whether, like Andy was saying, whether it's a bimetal product. It's not only in the engine blocks, it's in the cylinder heads themselves out there. You've got aluminum heads with pre-cups in them. You've got cast iron heads with pre-cups in them for these diesel applications. You've got a cast iron head with the high nickel seats exposed to that deck surface as well. And with a piece of abrasive, a segmented stone or a solid stone or something along those uses for those early traditional machines, we could grind through that material. We'd have coolant, we had the right abrasive in the equation, and we could literally grind through and hit an RA factor. It was time consuming. It was messy. We had coolant, we had dressing, we had segments that would wear out. All this stuff had to be maintained, had to be cleaned. With the advent and technologically advancing of the cutter tip itself, CBN, PCD, coated and non-coated, that's where these late model machines are designed to utilize that later technology of cutting tip versus taking an early machine and trying to convert it and forcing it to fit into a mold that it was not designed to fit into. We have to constantly be aware of what the machine tool manufacturers are coming up with out there, because when I source a CBN or a PCD half-inch or a 3/8 diameter coated or uncoated cutter tip, I have to know that I'm not sure exactly what application of machine tool that's going to go into out there. So I have to do research. I have to work with my engineering team as well to make sure that I'm offering the proper one that's going to give you that middle of the road finish that you're looking for, because at the end of the day, it's the parts manufacturers that are dictating what these RAs are, what these finishes are supposed to be. Whether it's an MLS gasket, whether it's a piston ring, as Lake Speed and Keith Jones and all those guys from Total Seal can get in and go with that RVK, RPK, all those different things that you have to pay attention to right now. And with older technical machines of previous designs, you may or may not be able to keep up with that, even with those middle of the road cutter tips that we're going to be able to get to you from a tool supply point of view.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about the different types of tool bits and inserts that you can buy these days. And CBN, we started using CBN 35 years ago, and things evolve over time. I was talking a little bit about the different materials that we have to cut today, and if you are just out on the internet looking for inserts, you got to be very careful, because you talk about CBN. There's lots of different types of CBN.
And Andy, let me jump in here.
Yeah.
Because just to let you guys know, we just had a little bit of an audio issue. We want to make sure everybody gets this vital information. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and reset, because I could tell you were getting something that is vital information. So forgive me from jumping in, but we got Andy, Randy, and Dave, and we're going to do it after this next video, and we'll come back and have this conversation. But what we're going to talk about in the video is rem finishing, and this is something that's very important to the machining process. Those of you, we're going to jump ahead to that. Get your questions ready. We're going to come back. Audio issue will be fixed after this. We are back with Andy, Randy, and Dave. We apologize for a little bit of audio issue, but we were able to get back on track. You know, guys, live production, it's pretty amazing watching the team behind the scenes. But before we jump back into your point, Andy, which I think was great, I just want to shout out to Lake and Don for getting us up to speed on the rem finishing, which is a very important aspect of all of this. But I am going to be pushing for the outtakes and the behind-the-scenes comedy of these guys during the break. So watch for that in case it happens, right? Andy, we were entertained by these two in the middle. Now, you were making a point about folks going on the internet and just ordering up any old tooling,
Right.
and that might be a mistake.
Yeah. We talked about how insert or materials that you're cutting are constantly evolving, and inserts are constantly evolving as well, and the material that the inserts are made of. And CBN has become a very common material. Cubic boron nitrate is a very common material for cutting cast iron, one of the best around. one thing that's important is that if you are out searching for inserts on the internet or wherever, you need to understand that one CBN isn't the same as the next. There's different grades of CBN. That means the material itself is different. There's different edge preps. So some edges on the insert are dead sharp. Some of them on the other side have a T-land on them that gives them more toughness and better tool life, but you might be sacrificing the finish by using an insert like that. Likewise, same thing with diamond tip tools. There's different grades of the diamond tip, different edge preps, and of course there's all kinds of carbide inserts and coated carbide inserts, and it's amazing how they can look the same but perform very differently as far as tool life goes and even finish. So what Rottler tries to do, I guess I'm selling our product a little bit, is we are involved in this industry, and we are often listening to our customers and developing these tools that you can buy and count on performing up to standard. So if you're looking for tools, we're an option. And if you're just wanted caution when you're looking at general machine tool suppliers, be careful about the inserts that you buy. A lot of good opportunity by improving on what you've got going, and we'd be glad to help out anytime.
Andy's absolutely right with that statement he just made. Carbide's been around. We've all used it for 50 years.
Yep.
And there are various grades and qualities of carbide. And they've improved remarkably. Same things happen with CBN and PCD. You can have a high-quality CBN PCD. You can have a low-quality CBN and PCD. So if you're out there shopping for price, you're probably going to get price results in that regard. So I want to echo a little bit. You got to be dealing with trusted, reliable suppliers in the supply chain all the way through, whether it's directly back to the OE machine tool designers and manufacturers, or the shop supply houses that are out there like myself. Make sure you're dealing with someone you can trust, someone that has a technical department that you can call up and talk to a real person to get that information. And there's one big thing that we can't forget in this equation at all, and it's all important. I preach it every day. You got to measure everything that's going on out there. You can't guess that through this math formula I'm going to get this RA, or through this math formula I'm going to get this RPK or RVK in this cylinder. You've got to measure, because at the end of the day, if you're not measuring, you're just guessing. Isn't that right, Randy?
You bet.
Let's understand one thing. When we get done, here's one of the tools that Andy's going to set up. The profilometer is your friend, and if you're not using valid tooling, you're guessing. If you're guessing, I'm going to tell you, you're on the short end of the bet. But I want to come back real quick and understand the depth of this discussion that we've had. Everything we've had. Our good friend Lake Speed has done a magnificent job of bringing us up to speed on surface finish on sonar. Let me give you guys a clue here. This topic, this last hour that's going on, we've just scratched the surface. This thing is something, and I want you to understand, you can come back, everybody's watching, it's like, look, if you see it now, thank you for watching. But understand, you can do this at 3 o'clock in the morning when the wife throws you out of the room. You need to come back and play this stuff and learn from it, and play it over and over, and be very careful with the fact that if you're not researching and acquiring this knowledge, you're back to guessing. And listen, unless you're a good Vegas player, I don't recommend it.
Well, on that note, I know Total Seal has been putting on some trackside tech talks at our NHRA events, and they've been well attended. And what I find to be great is that people want to share this information. They don't want someone to be in the dark, because they know that's going to be a negative cascading effect. People blowing up engines that are supposed to make big power. And it's really great to see the industry helping one another. Guys, great job. Thank you very much. We're going to keep it on going here at the Engine Performance Expo. We got a lot more to come, including Warren Johnson later on in the day. You're definitely going to hear from WJ. And but be sure to tell your friends that this is going on. And just like Randy said, said, this is all going to be archived on the web for you to go back and watch over and over again. But don't go anywhere now, because we got some good stuff coming up. In fact, for you diesel guys, SoCal Diesel in the house, Guy Tripp going to talk diesel of the day. What a day, what a day, what a day. Yeah, my brain is swollen. I've learned so much today. They told us, don't start cars. We are not going to listen.